is that? Why? Why would God do that? Makes me so sad. Hey guys, what's up? Sammy Robbins here. Today in Hawaii, it's raining and it's cloudy, and so I'm just kind of pretending like it's cold outside and like we have seasons. And I have my leggings and my hoodie on, and I'm about to eat soup. But truth be told, I don't really love seasons. Like, I can love them for a week if I'm on a trip. For me, clouds and cold and dark and the sun going down, they're like nasty. Hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it. And there's people out there that are like, oh, like big sweaters and like cozy and tea, and you just cuddle all the time and you read a book and it's like the best. And I just die inside. Like, I really do. I love that for like, really, I can really love it for a day. A week I can tolerate, and more than that, it just makes me feel sad. There's something about the sunshine and green trees. Oh, that's another thing. Trees and plants being naked. My soup's done. Trees and plants being naked and having no clothing on. When the wind blows, nothing happens. It's just like dead and dry. Makes me so sad. And there's actually a thing called SAD, like all caps. It's like seasonal adjustment disorder. I'm like, I won't take that on as an identity statement, but it's a real thing. But the point of my video in this is actually about how I tried to use Hawaii. Like, the first 6 months I lived in Hawaii, I tried to use Hawaii as an escape for my pain. It felt like, oh, if I go here and if I can have adventure and sunshine, then I'll be happier inside. If I can have outdoors and hikes and tropicals and eat snow cones, like, then I won't have to feel this deep pain. And about 6 months into living here, God said to me, you've been trying to escape seasons by moving to Hawaii, but he said you can't escape the seasons of your soul. I had this moment where I had previously been in denial that I was trying to escape my pain by living in Hawaii. I wouldn't have been able to say that, but I had this, like, I want to call it like an epiphany, but a revelation. It's not just an epiphany, it's this moment where God like pokes his finger on something, and then all of a sudden you can see everything that he's talking about, and you're like, oh shoot. You got me, you know me better than I know myself, okay? And he said, you've been trying to escape the seasons, but you can't escape the seasons of your soul. And I realized in that moment, like, oh my gosh, I literally thought subconsciously if I lived in a really beautiful place, I wouldn't have to process through my grief in the same way. And there's a part of creation that mimics who God is and how God designed us, like seasons. There is a time for growing, there's a time for the heat and the sun, there's a time for shedding, and then there's a time for barrenness. And in the winter, when trees lose all of their leaves, the beauty of it is all of the energy inside of the tree actually goes towards digging deeper roots and stronger roots inside of that tree, rather than putting its energy to the leaves, which it does in the spring. And so there's so much depth and revelation inside of God's creation that if we look at it and if we let it teach us, it'll actually reveal who God is and who he made us to be. And so I realized, like, wow, I've actually been trying to escape sadness and escape grief in order for me to actually thrive and enter into the spring and the summer of my soul that I want to live in all of the time. It actually looks like me like letting things die and fall off. It looks like me letting go of different things in my life. It looks like me entering into like a hibernation and growing my roots deep and being inside, like physically inside because of winter, but emotionally, like and inside of myself. It looks like me actually taking that energy and putting it towards letting God grow deeper roots inside of me. And part of the healing process is grieving. Part of thriving looks like grieving and feeling your sadness and making friends with sadness. Actually not avoiding it, not trying to numb it, not trying to run away from it, but letting yourself feel it so that it will get out of you, so that it can move through you, so that there's space inside of your heart for new things to grow. And so since then, God has worked with me me a lot about processing through my sadness and my grief. And I wanted to make this video just kind of sharing some of that process, because for me, sadness and grief felt like a really deep, dark black hole that I believed I could never get out of. I know that there are some of you watching this who are like, man, if I start feeling my pain, I'm just too afraid of what's going to come up. Or I'm afraid that it's going to overtake me, and I just don't want to go there. I just don't want to look at it. I know people in my life who have blatantly chosen to not ever process through their pain because it feels like it's too much. And though that is definitely an option, and though that it's a choice, you will live a subpar life, because to the amount of grief that you're willing to process and feel, to the amount of sadness you're willing to go, it is the depth that you will have carved out for your container for joy, for life, for fullness, for fulfillment. And the deeper you're willing to actually dive in feeling that, the more space you'll have inside of your soul to experience joy and gladness. It just increases your capacity for the good emotions that we all want. And so I wanted to create this video just to really ask you guys, what is it that you are running away from? It might not be grief or sadness for you. It might not be running away from literal seasons like I did, hoping that I could escape my grief and my sadness, but it might be a bitterness that you've felt. It might be you trying to escape actually looking at yourself in general. It might be you trying to run away from your relationship with God, or you doing the work you need to do to make your marriage better. Regardless of what it is, I want to invite you to ask yourself, ask your heart, ask God the question, what is it that I'm running away from? And then ask God for the courage to help you actually go there and look at that and dive into that pain. I promise it will lead to more freedom eventually. And if you're someone who's watching this that doesn't know how to do this process, then as always, I love in my deeper videos just letting people know where they can go to get that help. This is what we do. We help people process through their pain and the past things in their life that have led to unhealthy cycles and relationship cycles and unhealthy self-talk and negative lens of how you see God. Maybe you believe God is a bad God or a cruel God or a punishing God. It's not true. Those are just lenses that you have because of your past pain, and it's created belief systems. And I promise you it is worth it to look at that. I promise you it is so liberating and freeing and fulfilling and brings more joy and love and hope into your life if you do. So if that's you, click the link below. You can watch our free training if you haven't already. After that, it'll extend an invitation to you to book a free call with one of our team members to see if our programs would be a good fit for you. And so if that's you, that's accessible to you. But whether you work with us or someone else, I just want to encourage you, do the work. It is so worth it. Your future spouse will thank you. Your kids will thank you. Your family will thank you. Your friends will thank you. It is so worth it. I love you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please let me know how you liked it. Subscribe and share it with a friend, and I'll see you next time. I'm happy to announce, though, that I do love sweaters and soup.